Hi, Bridget. Today we're going to be doing a lesson on the vocabulary word colonies. But before we do that, let's talk about some expectations. Every time we work together, I'm really impressed by your ability to stay quiet, to while I'm talking, to be able to pay attention. Today we're going to be working on doing all of that, as well as being still in our seats. I know that's something we're working on, and I think you got it.
Thank you.
All right. While we're going through this, I'll be asking some questions, trying to check your understanding. Make sure that you're checking your own understanding as well. It's really important that if you are confused, that you talk to me because it's confusing stuff, and I don't want to leave anything not understood. All right. So to start us off, can you tell us what these are?
States.
They are states now. What if you read this word? What were they once?
They were the original 13 colonies.
Mm-hmm, they were.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember? Have you learned anything about the original 13 colonies before?
Yeah, in social studies.
Yeah. What do you know about them?
I know that they were the first, sort of settlements that were made by the people that came from England.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. These were so all these colonies, they were settled by mostly English people, but they were also settled by some other Europeans. And we're going to learn a little bit today about what it really means to be a colony. Because that's really important to understand, is like what they were for and why we use them. So our goal for today, we're going to learn what a colony is, how it's different from a settlement, which is they're very close terms, but it's really important that we know the difference between them. And we're going to go through some examples and non-examples, and we're going to kind of put in context of history in general, okay? Like I said, the reason we go through this is because colonies were really important to our history. We're going to it's really transformative. It really determined a lot of history. It kind of told us which countries are rich, which countries are poor, kind of like set the stage for that. And it's really important that we understand why they were used. So, yesterday we went over the voyages of Columbus. Can you tell me, where was Columbus sailing?
Where?
Yeah, where'd he go?
He wanted to go to India.
Yeah, he did want to go to India.
Yeah.
And where did he end up?
He ended up in North America.
Mm-hmm.
America, yeah.
Yeah, like you can kind of see all these trips he went around Cuba and Hispaniola.
Is this where he sailed?
Yeah, he came from Spain. You can kind of see it, and these arrows he's made a round trip, right? And do you know why he was looking for India?
For the spices. He wanted spices and stuff and money.
Yeah, they really wanted spices from Europe or in Europe. Why would they need to go to India to get spices? Do you know?
Because that's where all the good spices are.
Yeah, that's where they had most of the spices, and they really just couldn't grow them in Europe or find them in Europe, and so it was really important they were getting them back there. Problem is, it would take so long to get around here, and Columbus knew the world was round, and so he knew that he had to make this round trip. He knew he could go around the other way, but
that takes less time than doing that.
Well, he thought it would. He didn't know that North America was here. That's a really good question. I really appreciate you checking that. Yeah, he thought that the world would wrap around and it would get him there really quickly. Oh. He wasn't even expecting to find all of this.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's kind of the Europeans' first try at trying to find a cheaper way to get spices and get. But we're going to learn a bit about how their next attempt and kind of how that evolved, how it changed. So, we're about to learn some new vocabulary. This is the definition of a colony. Can you read that definition for me?
Colony. A country or area under the control of another country and occupied by settlers from that country.
Awesome. Thank you for reading that. I really appreciate it. I know this is kind of confusing, so we're going to be kind of going through this piecewise, okay? All right. So this first part says country or area under the control of another country. So, which part, the colony is the country area under control, then is the colony under control, or is it, I'm going to change how I'm saying this. Look at this example. This picture is of England at the height of its power, right? This is England, this little circle, okay?
Okay.
And this is all the stuff controlled.
Wow.
Right?
That's a lot.
And so if a colony is what the area under control, can you tell me which of these are colonies? Can you point to them?
Under its control.
Yeah.
This stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That little dot.
Yeah, that little dot. I didn't even see that one.
Everything in red, maybe.
Yeah, everything in red. These are all its colonies. This is all under control. These are all the colonies. And then this is England. This is the just the nation that's in control of it all. And so I have a question for you. Does it have to be really close to the country? And
I don't think so, because this is
Yeah.
really far from there.
yeah,
and
it's
they
super
control
far.
it.
Yeah, I would say that it could be anywhere.
They actually don't seem to control anything that's close to them.
Hey, Bridget, it seems like you're a little all over the place in your seat. Do you think you can put your bottom on the seat? Thank you.
Listen,
All right. All right. Let's go to the next part. Next part. What is this? What does the bolded word say?
and occupied by settlers from that country.
Mm-hmm. And so, what is it? What can you tell from that? What do you think that means? Do you know what a settler is?
Yeah, they're the guys that came from England.
Yeah, so they're people from the main country that went to the colonies and lived there, right?
Okay, yeah.
And so this picture, it's a little weird, a little bit of a weird picture, but can you tell me, who do you think the settlers are in this? Just thinking about the history we know about where colonies were, where they came from.
If they're the visitors, they might be these guys. 'Cause they
Yeah.
look like they're from England, maybe, and they're white.
Yeah, that's a really good prediction. These are the settlers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they would go and settlers would, from the settlers in the colonies, would kind of govern and they would kind of rule. And they would pretty much take land from the natives, whoever was there. So in this, you can kind of see that it looks like the settlers have a lot of power in this situation. And these are the Native Americans, and they're kind of getting left behind. And they're not really getting a whole lot of say in this.
Did they kill that deer?
I don't know. What do you think? What do you think's happening here?
I don't know. I can't tell if they're mad about it or if they're like, here's your present.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I could definitely see them, like, it looks like they're having an argument, like there's two sides. Yeah, at least to me. And maybe, but I don't know. Who do you think would win in an argument, the settlers or the Native Americans? If the settlers have all the power.
The settlers, because the settlers have all the powers and they
Yeah.
have weapons, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's a gun or something, and they don't have anything.
They don't have anything.
They're not even wearing all the clothes.
Yeah, so to review, a colony is it's an area that's under control by another country, and they send their settlers there to occupy it, to govern it. All right, so let's go through an example. So we're back to our original 13 colonies. Do you remember who used to rule the 13 colonies before we were the United States?
England.
Yeah, exactly right. England used to be in charge of the 13 colonies. And we're going to get into a little bit into why they had the 13 colonies, why they cared so much about keeping us. We had to fight a whole revolution, right, to get rid of them. So I've got some pictures up here. These are all what we call raw resources. These are all like materials that the colonies would send back to England. Can you tell me what some of these are? Can you tell?
That looks like maybe trees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So maybe wood.
Yeah.
That one looks like a cotton ball.
Yeah, that's cotton. You're exactly right. Any of these? These ones are a little tougher.
Maybe some plants, lettuce or carrots, or
It's a good guess. That's tobacco. That was a huge cash crop.
No, that's tobacco's bad.
Yeah, it's not good for you, but they used to sell a lot of it.
Chalk.
Good guess. Are you talking about the white one or the blue one?
Blue one.
The blue one. That does look like chalk. I can see like powdered chalk. No, it's actually indigo. But we use it to dye clothes. And this last one's flour. Yeah. So one of the main points of colonies, because we were kind of talking about how Columbus wanted to get those spices for Europe. Well, we would think of spice as like a raw resource, right? Where you would collect the spices, just kind of like if you have a bunch of it, and then you'd make something out of it. You'd make really good food. That's the same thing the United States did, or the colonies did for England. We would send them wood, we'd send them cotton. They would make ships, they'd make clothes. They would, with the indigo, they would dye them, and they would sell those goods back. So I'm seeing if they're sending them resources, and then England is sending back finished goods to sell them. What is England getting out of this? They're getting a couple things, I think.
They're getting materials.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But maybe they don't have to like pay as much maybe for it.
Yeah, they can. That's a really good prediction, and that's exactly right. They don't have to pay as much. If they're in control of something, they don't have to. It's a lot cheaper for them to get it. And then the other thing, which is a little bit of a tougher concept, is if they're selling them their goods back. You know, if you're running a business, it'd be really great if you knew who would be your buyer, right? And you always had someone to buy your stuff. It's kind of what the colonies did. You always had someone there to buy your stuff. So that's like an extra little part of being a colony is you got extra goods, and you got people to buy your goods. So that's just something to remember. All right, we're going to do a non-example next. So when we're spreading west, when we were like buying land, we were setting settlements. If you here we're having settlements inside the territory, if it was all within your own country, would that be a colony? Remember our definition. What's our definition? It's
if the states are ours.
Yeah, they are ours.
Oh, I thought that's many. No.
Yeah, that you're right. Why do you think that?
Because this is already all of ours, and we're not visiting anywhere new to make a new colony.
Exactly right. Yeah, a colony has to be a different area. It has to be outside of the country for us to control. It can be far away, it can be close, but it has to be outside. If it's already inside your land, it's not a colony anymore. It's just a settlement. It's just something to keep in mind.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I get it.
That was a really good answer. Thank you for doing that. So, to finish up, how do we know something is a colony?
If it's outside of the country that we live in, and it's occupied by those people that live in that country, the settlers.
You're exactly right. So you said if it's outside the country and you control it, and yeah, and then it's occupied by your own settlers.
Okay.
Exactly right. And that's what a colony is. So we'll tomorrow we'll probably go over it more in depth, like other colonies and like kind of how this all played out. But I'm glad we got a good basis.
Thank you.